ये स्टार्ट किया जाए प्रोग्राम को।
यस सर, गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
गुड मॉर्निंग। स्टार्ट कर दीजिए प्रोग्राम एकदम 10:30 से, कोई दिक्कत नहीं, वेट मत करिए किसी का भी।
जी सर।
एक्सपर्ट आ गए हैं क्या?
विवेक तिवारी सर।
हाँ सर, आ गए हैं।
हाँ
Good
तो
morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir. I am here. Good morning, sir. How are
गुड
you?
मॉर्निंग सर, गुड मॉर्निंग सर, थैंक यू फॉर
morning.
कमिंग सर।
Thank you. Thank you.
Vivek Tiwari, sir. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning,
Welcome.
madam. How are you?
Fine, sir.
Yes, I think we can start, madam.
Yeah, we will start.
I will request Sunil Naik sir to please start the session.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
इंट्रोडक्शन, सर का इंट्रोडक्शन कर दीजिए।
Sir. A very good morning to all of you. I, Sunil Kumar Nayak, from the organizing team, welcome you all to the teachers training program on machine learning using Python. That is on session 4, today's session 4. This is the apt time to understand emerging technologies and to get more insight on the topic. We have got an eminent personality and a great educator, Dr. Vivek Tiwari, with us. It's a great honor and pleasure to have you here, sir. A short introduction and recap of his eminent work are as follows. So, Dr. Vivek Tiwari. Dr. Vivek Tiwari is an assistant professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at DSPM IIIT Naya Raipur CG, India. He received the bachelor degree Computer Science and Engineering from the Rajiv Gandhi Technical University, Bhopal in 2004. Master's degree in the same discipline from Samrat Ashok Technological Institute, Polytechnic, Vidisha, Madhya Pradesh in the year 2008. And finally, a doctoral degree from the National Institute of Technology, Bhopal, MANIT, India in 2015 in the area of data mining and warehousing. His prior work experience had been in Modi Institute of Technology and Science, MITS, Deemed University, Sikar, Rajasthan, and Caresoft Incorporation, New Jersey, USA, as a software engineer. Dr. Tiwari's conventional research areas of interest falls in machine learning, data mining, computer vision, business analytics, data warehousing, etc. Dr. Tiwari is a recipient of Young Scientist Fellowship Award for the year 2014-16 by the MPCST, Madhya Pradesh Council of Science and Technology, Government of Madhya Pradesh. He has been actively engaged in 4 academic research projects sponsored by reputed funding agencies, to name a few. Already completed project on Akash for education, sponsored by National Mission on Education through ICT, NMEICT, sponsored by IIT Bombay and MHRD. 3 of his tiered projects that on year of completion are TEQIP3 sponsored project on using intelligent accident detection through surveillance video under NPIU, National Project Implementation Unit. MHRD, immediate healthcare support. Indira Gandhi Agriculture University, IGA Raipur sponsored project on use of artificial intelligence and deep learning in identification of major disorders and in important crops. Indira Gandhi Agriculture University, IGAU Raipur sponsored projects on use of blockchain to assure quality of farm inputs, seed, planting material, fertilizers, and other resources. MHRD India, National Project Implementation Unit, Agriculture University, Chhattisgarh. Dr. Tiwari has many research publications to his credit at various reputed journals with IEEE transactions such as Elsevier, Springer, etc. His add-on research interests are bioinformatics and business analytics as on date. So now I would like to invite Dr. Vivek Tiwari to share his knowledge on this particular topic. Please, sir.
Thank you, Nayak sir, for a detailed introduction. It was too long. Okay, first let me share my presentation, then I'll start the discussion. So please let me know whether my screen is visible to all the participants or not. Uh, I think it is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, okay, okay. So, my dear friends, faculty members, participants, research scholars, very warm good morning to everybody. At the beginning, I request to everybody, please mute yourself. Everybody, please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so first I would like to convey a great appreciation to the BIT Institute that is organizing this workshop and the funding agency CSVTU and AICTE to support such kind of workshop that are really we feel need nowadays. A special thanks, a special congratulations to Department of Computer Science Engineering, the faculty members, the staff that really involved behind this workshop, Padmavati Madam, Nayak Sir. Really, I'm sharing my experience when you going to organize such kind of long event, maybe 3-4 days or 1 week long event. Many things you have to manage parallelly, and it's really commendable job. So it's really a great initiative, and everybody have a right to get a congratulations. So myself, Dr. Vivek Tiwari, I again welcome all the participants in this workshop. And today, the point of discussion, if precisely if I talk about, that is predicting medical expenses using linear regression. So how and why I have picked up this topic? What is the medical expenses? What about the data set? How the linear regression will work? And I will show the implementation. It will be the hands-on like that. I will write the code and I will show everything to you. So that is a precise the topic and the area we are going to discuss briefly or in detail in the during the session. But before jump into the detailed discussion of this topic, as the title of my lecture is already in the schedule, that I have to talk about the classification of supervised learning, the classification and regression. Around that I have to talk. So I hope many of the participants already know, because this is the second day of the FDP. So there is the big area that we're talking about nowadays, and the title of faculty FDP that comes under that is called data analytics. So when we see and listen the word data analytics, so data analytics is a very big word, a very big things. Everything you need to deal with the data comes under the data analytics. So how can you understand what kind of problems, what kind of sub branches, what kind of hierarchy may possible with the data analytics? So for a simplicity, you can consider there is a three subcategory. There are three sub branches you can assume under the data analytics, and these sub branches are descriptive data analytics, predictive data analytics, and the prescriptive data analytics. So as a beginner, or as a if you want to make a career, or want to excel your research in the area of data analytics, machine learning, data science, you must know briefly about all these three branches, all these three subcategory. So one by one I will pick up. I will not go in much detail. Briefly I will explain what is descriptive, what is predictive, what is prescriptive, and what kind of algorithm comes under these category, and what real characteristics parameter required to qualify such kind of category, so that in the future you can consider this is the problem I am working, I want to work, it comes under this kind of category, like that. So the starting with the simple things, let me zoom it. Yeah, descriptive data analytics, as you just think about the name itself is self-explanatory. It is talking about the description, whatever the method, technique, procedure you adopt to describe your data, that comes under the descriptive data analytics. So normally what kind of questions that you can answer with the descriptive analytics is that what is happening and why it is happened. So suppose you are running a business, or some data has been given to you, and in the business something happened, suddenly you start gaining the business, you start gaining the profit, or maybe negative side you are losing a lot suddenly. So you need to know why it is happening suddenly, or sequential profit or lose, or some event occur in the business and you want to know why it is happening. What is the reason behind that? Such kind of questions you can answer by using the descriptive data analytics. Now the question is that in machine learning point of view, like the title of the workshop, what kind of algorithms comes under the descriptive data analytics? So the simple answer is that I hope many of the person know about the unsupervised learning. So unsupervised learning comes under the descriptive data analytics. Under the unsupervised learning, many algorithms like clustering. I hope many of the participants know about that. It's a kind of unsupervised learning. It's a kind of descriptive data analytics. Association rule mining, market basket analysis like a priori algorithm, happy growth algorithms, well famous algorithms comes under the descriptive data analytics. And sorry, many of you have dealt with the feature engineering, feature selection, feature component, how to analyze the features, like a principal component analysis, also a type of descriptive analytics. These are the algorithms that used to describe the data. And a very important thing, just I want to mention purposefully over here, we are using, our children, our kids are using descriptive analytics from the 6th to 7th standard of their class. Like when you represent your data in form of pie chart, bar chart, scatter plot, histogram, all are the descriptive data analytics. Don't think like in the people having a understanding the mind, some algorithm I require, some model I require. So when I deal with the model, training, testing, this is kind of analytics, not at all. So by graph, pie graph, bar chart, scatter plot, histogram, heat map, all are the descriptive data analytics, because you are describing your data by using all those tools. That was the descriptive data analytics. Now come to the predictive data analytics. Mostly the people who deal with the machine learning or deep learning, they think that is the major area and that is the only machine learning when you talk about the predictive data analytics, because we're going to predict something, we're going to forecast something. So normally all the supervised learning. So all the supervised learning means all the algorithm, most of the people who know here, like a naive Bayes, decision tree, random forest, KNN, SVM, all our algorithm comes under the supervised learning. Supervised learning is a type of predictive data analytics because we predict something. Here actually training, testing, model we have to apply. In the descriptive data analytics, just I have explained, there is no training method. So if you try to recall PCA, a priori algorithm, happy growth, any visualization technique, there is a no training testing method. So that is just some things that we should know about very much. Descriptive data analytics means there is a no training testing, there is a no model like kind of thing. But when it comes with the predictive data analytics, we have to go with the training testing method. We have to validate our model, so that in the real life we give the input, it will may predict whether it is a cat, it is a dog, it is a salary is 20,000 or 25,000, like that. So that is a predictive data analytics. Now it is mostly considered as a new emerging branch of data analytics that is called prescriptive data analytics, and most of the candidate, most of the people who are in this field are not aware about the prescriptive data analytics. What is that? So that is the main focus, and I want to have a discussion with you. Please have attention. In the prescriptive data analytics, what happened? It is a next advanced version of the data analytics, and it use both descriptive and predictive analytics. It use both and give a more advanced level of knowledge and help to take the decision. Suppose in the predictive data analytics, the model will predict something. if you are following the prediction made by that model, what happened in the future? No, the model can't say about that. If model is predicting you do something, it will hike your profit. It is a prediction, but really how it is going to hike the profit if I don't select or don't take the suggestions made by the prediction, what happened? So in one next level, if you choose the option A, what may happen in the future? If you choose the option B, option C, option D, what may happen in the future? That is the knowledge, that is the area where the prescriptive data analytics work. It's tell about what you should do. If you choose option A, what may happen? Option B, what may happen? Option C, what may happen? It is a little bit more advanced version of supervised learning, or it is not typically supervised learning because we have to use descriptive and predictive algorithm both in the way. Now, there is no single algorithm in the world till date that I say it is example of predictive data, prescriptive data analytics. Like there is a many example with the predictive and descriptive, but there is no single algorithm that qualified as a prescriptive data analytics because it is a system. Most of the simulation models, most of the optimization techniques we use to implement the prescriptive data analytics. Now, for the simplicity, what is the example? If you see, the example is if I try to recall chess game. So many of the person have played the chess game with the computer. So try to think how computer play the chess game. It is a predictive. It predicts something. It describes the data, not at all. What it does, suppose now turn is the computer have to move a piece. So try to think about that, how many options the computer may have. Maybe 10, 15, 20 options may have. It can move the pawn, it can move the knight, it can move the rook, it can move the queen, like that. So many options are there. So like this is the major characteristics of the prescriptive data analytics is that if you move this one, you are going to be in a strong position or you are going to lose something. Because if you move the particular piece A, what options will be left for you in the future? So against the every move, it may give you a bigger picture as the playing time, what may happen if you move this. So it helps you to take the decision more accurately. So it is kind of prescriptive data analytics. Let me see the questions. You can write the questions if you have in the between. I will try to pick up in between. Okay, so now come to the machine learning area, and we try to think there are various kind of algorithm. How can we categorize it? So typically, if you talk about in the machine learning, there is a three subcategory you can think about. I will discuss it briefly: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. So starting with the supervised learning, as the name is suggest, there is a supervisor, there is a mentor. When you try to develop a model, the model is whether is learning or not, how well it is learning, it is going to positive or negative direction. Something is there that will supervise the process. Every process, every action, it will correct you. So whatever the output, whatever the prediction during the training is made by your model, whether it is correct or not, there is a teacher, there is a supervisor that every time will correct you. You are making this prediction, this much of percent it is correct and this much of percent it is not correct. So if there is a supervisor, output, the supervisor is something that output already know. So whatever the model is predicting and forecasting, the supervisor will take the output and try to compare with the real output. What is the output made by your model? What is the real output? It try to compare. And based on the result, how much error, how much difference it is there, it will try to correct the answer. So that's why it is called supervised learning. Now coming to the unsupervised learning, is totally opposite. In the unsupervised learning, 99.99% there is no learning actually. There is no training method. So many of you have not thought about in that way. Unsupervised learning, there is no training method. There is no testing or training. You have never thought in the clustering or in the association rule mining that you have to divide your data into the 70 or 30%, 70% for training, 30% for testing. It is the case for the supervised learning. It is not a case with the unsupervised learning, but because unsupervised learning, there is a learning, but there is not actual learning process. So here, the thing is given to you. Randomly, you have to move here and there. What the output, the performance your algorithm will give, there is nothing to supervise you. Yes, there is some objective functions that you have to try to maximize it. But like a supervised learning, there is no such valid output, valid classes, so that you can compare the output given by your model. So that is called unsupervised learning. Third one is the reinforcement learning. You can consider, okay, one thing more I will try to connect so that you can have a better understanding. Supervised learning, you try to connect with the predictive data analytics. Unsupervised learning, you may connect with the descriptive data analytics. And the reinforcement learning, it is not 100% correct. I am saying in the code, it is not 100% correct. But for a starting level, you can think the reinforcement learning is something that are more related to the prescriptive data analytics. So what happened in the reinforcement learning? Briefly, I will discuss. In the reinforcement learning, it is a kind of learning. Here it is really learning. So where the algorithm, we have to put our algorithm in the open environment, complex environment. So that algorithm, in technically we call the agent. So we put our agent in the unknown environment, a very complex environment. And the goal is given to. The goal is such that this is the goal. So agent has to achieve that goal. How, I don't know. Whether it is going to achieve, I don't know. So agent have to take action, have to move. So consecutive actions will be taken by the agent. And every action have a 2 parameter, like a reward or penalty. So if the action taken by the agent is going towards to the goal, the system will give you reward. Otherwise, vice versa, it will give you penalty. So agent have to successfully try multiple things, multiple way, multiple directions. And agent may have a multiple solutions to achieve the same goal. So it is more related to the optimization technique, more related to reducing the search space, like kind of things. So the path or the direction the agent will follow, that will maximize the total reward point. Like a driverless car, one of the example. They learn from their mistake. There is not exact output. Like in the supervised learning, there is not exact output. So by mistake, by trying, by practicing, they have to handle the robot. Like we keep the robot in the open environment, and robot have to learn the environment. Environment means to try to understand multiple parameters, very complex environment I'm talking about. If you want to keep the robot in a one ground, you see how many parameters are there. The ground may have a grass, may have a marble, may be plain, maybe may have a slope, maybe uneven. How the wind is running over there. The wind may push the robot and it get down. Sunlight, how it is going to see the environment, what kind of sensor cameras are there, mechanical things are there a lot of, electrical things are there a lot of, sensors are there a lot of. So when I talk about the environment, it means in the real life, if I put a machine have to learn what is happening around that. So it is more related to the reinforcement learning. A lot of things come into the enforcement learning. So that was the things. Now be precise, because everything it is not possible to cover over here. In the supervised learning, there is again 2 methods. Supervised learning you can divide into two sub method, like a regression and the classification. So very briefly I will discuss. Suppose I am talking the supervised learning. So there is a two sub methods. Sometime I call classification, sometime I call regression. Today I will cover here. What is the difference? In the both case, we have to predict something. Suppose you are predicting some category, you are predicting some label. So it is called classification. Category means like a cat, dog, A, B, C, true, false, male, female, happy, sad, like that. But if the application is given to you where you have to predict some salary of a particular person, age of particular person, like that, means you are predicting some integer value, or better to say some numerical value. So if the application having such a requirement, when you have to predict the class, category, label, it is called classification. And the application where you have to predict some numerical value or integer value, like kind of things, it is called regression. Okay, here so many methods are there, also so many methods are there. So in the regression is a category. Under the regression I will cover today linear regression. So that is a topic we are going to focus onward. Let me see any questions. If you have, I will pick. Yeah, somebody is asking, is prescriptive type about semi-supervised? No, semi-supervised you cannot say it is a type of prescriptive analytics, not at all. Semi-supervised is some hybrid method where sometimes you have to apply the descriptive method, sometimes you apply the predictive method. It is not a prescriptive method. Logistic regression is a classification, yes. So Tomar sir is asking logistic regression. Logistic regression is a typically classification. It is not regression method. Okay, so going ahead. Okay, so that is a topic we are going to handle the predictive data analytics, where I will use the linear regression and the data set or the application I have taken, that is the medical expenses. And one surprise for you, everybody, so be ready for that surprise. Here I am going to use the R environment. So like the
Saurabh Tomar is also asked one question.
Please.
Let fictitious data by Monte Carlo or other method, what kind of data analytics it is?
Let me read the question.
Saurabh Tomar.
If we simulate fictitious data by Monte Carlo or other method, what kind of data analytics it is? Optimization technique. It is typical optimization. So if you are using the optimization for which purpose, and other than optimization, what are the complexity in the environment, that will qualify whether it is going to be prescriptive data analytics or not. Why? Try to understand. Let me explain with the example. The good question is that suppose you are going to develop a system, the Monte Carlo method you have applied, some data or something is given, and it is helping to achieve your goal, Monte Carlo method. So whether the Monte Carlo method or by including other method, it may give you multiple options. And if you choose the option A, B, C, D, option A, what are the other possibility? What are the other possibility? What are the other possibility may have? So if by using the Monte Carlo method alone, or by using the combination of other method, you are implementing such kind of things, then it is a prescriptive data analytics. Otherwise, it is simple a simulation or optimization. So don't never think of whenever you apply any optimization technique means it is a prescriptive data analytics. Prescriptive data analytics is a system. It is not an algorithm. Many of the time we confused. Prescriptive data analytics is not an algorithm. It is a system. Means by using the various kind of method, maybe Monte Carlo, maybe ant colony, or maybe supervised, maybe unsupervised learning, if you are giving such kind of options functionality to the system, then it is a prescriptive data analytics. Got it? I hope I maybe make it clear. Tomar sir. Okay.
Sir, got it.
Should I-
Got it. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks. Okay. So one surprise with you that I'm not going to use the Python for the simulation or for the implementation purpose. But don't worry at all 1%. So whether I'm going to use the R environment at our stage, at the faculty level or at the research scholar level, the language is not a bar. Whether you are using MATLAB, whether you are using Python or R, all are same, all have a same syntax, and every minute syntax I will cover. So don't worry about that. You are not aware about the R, or you don't know R. So that is my responsibility to make it simple. In the coming time, I will cover the linear regression. My objective is not only to pick the data, fit to the linear regression and show the output, not at all. Real learning is that what is linear regression, in which condition you should apply, what are the fundamental the things you should consider while you going to pick the linear regression, like a prerequisite. So it is not a case like that randomly you choose the linear regression, apply wherever you want, not at all. Many things you have to keep in the mind. I will try to cover it. Plus implementation or optimization, if time permit, I will also cover during the discussion. The algorithm and model I'm not going to discuss, means algorithms like Bayes or KNN, random forest, all are the algorithm. In the machine learning, sometimes you use the word algorithm, sometimes the model. That is a big mistake we used to make, but it is not like that. Algorithm is just something steps or simple mathematical equations only. When you feed your data to the algorithm learns something. Algorithm start working behalf of you. Then it become a model. Model means some actionable things. Model means algorithm plus data. So if you talk about what is a model is equal to algorithm plus data. That is a model. So many of the people use algorithm and model in the same way. That is a wrong. Both are totally different things. Going ahead, what the problem, first let me discuss what kind of problems I'm going to discuss with you and going to implement by using the linear regression. So you try to know, I think many of the participants are here, they have purchased a medical expenses, medical insurance or any health insurance or any kind of insurance, I would say. So you have to pay the premium. Now the company point of view, the company is struggling to decide the premium, because a company has to sell the policies, and the policies are too costly, they are going to lose the business. It is too cheap, also going to lose the business. Why? Because the policy is too cheap and everybody purchases that policy, but at the later when the people start claiming, the profit that is made by the company will be less than the expenditure. So there should have an equal balance between the profit and the expenditure. Profit and expenditure is directly depend on the premium the company is asking for you. So the question is that how the company decide the premium. It is not a simple question. So suppose the machine learning is there, by using premium means some numeric value, some number, 10,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees, like that. So it become a classification problem. Not it become a supervised learning. In the supervised learning, it becomes the regression problem, because we need to predict the some number. So suppose the problem is that the company have taken the software persons and data scientists. Data scientists have to develop a model, and model will help to decide the exact premium or balance premium for the company. That is the total problem statement I have clear. I think every participant is clear now what kind of problem is there, how we are going to consider. The problem is that to decide the premium of a company, maybe health, maybe anything, and the technique I'm going to use, that is a linear regression. Okay. Because it's a machine learning algorithms and machine learning model, I need a data set. So first let me open the data set. I will show you the data set, then I will import and I will try to train the model. So have a look over here. I think it is visible to everybody. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. Yeah, 7 features are there. So let me clear one thing. Any kind of supervised learning, I'm talking about the any kind of supervised learning, whether it is a classification, whether it is a regression, you need a data set. For a simplicity, suppose consider this is the data set. This is the data set where x1, x2, x3 dot 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 x and other features column. So there is a two kind of terminology I will use: input variable or output variable. Input variable means all the input features. Output variable means that you want to predict. Sometimes it called class, sometimes it called label, like that. Sometimes it called target variable. Many names are there. Target variable, class, labels. That's I want to predict. So any of the feature that I have to designate as the output variable. Once you decide the output variable, is depend on the application. It is not depend on you. Rest all the variable automatically become input variable. Input feature, sometimes called input feature, that is called output feature. So one of the variable or column name you have to designate as the output variable, remaining automatically become the input variable. So in the data set, see the expenses. This is a historical data set is given. The company having a historical data set where how can I read the data? Data says that if the person age is 19 year earlier, that was the female, BMI 27.9, BMI means body mass index, like that, and number of children or number of dependent, you can say the 0. Smoker, yes. Reason means which part of the country the person belong. Last year or any year, the medical expenses or health related expenses was 16,884, maybe rupees, maybe dollar. In this data set, it is in dollar, you can consider as a rupees. So in that way, you can understand the data set. Region means sometime you may think about why region is important. Sometime happen in the which part of country, which part of city you belong. Maybe some city or some part of company country are very prone to the particular type of disease. Means if the person belongs to this area, may have a more chance for cancer, more chance for asthmatic. Like you can see in the Delhi nowadays, a lot of persons are suffering from the asthma. So depend on which part of the country you belong, your health related expenditure may change. So I hope the data set is clear to everybody. These are the input feature and expenses means the output features. So based on the expenses, my model will try to predict a balance premium that company may charge in the future. So this is the data set is giving to you, simple data set. Smoker, I think recently if you have purchased the policy, the company started asking whether you're a smoker or not, such kind of thing. Children means number of dependent. BMI means how fatty, how overweight you are or not, like that. Okay, so that is the data set. Let me go back here. So age, I don't need to explain about that. Age means it is a numeric value. If in a data type point of view, if I try to explain the data set is that, so here age is an integer, gender or sex is a categorical value, means it may be either male or female, so it is a categorical value. BMI, again it's a numerical value. Children, number of dependent, again a numerical value. Smoker, again a categorical value. Region, again a categorical value. So I hope at this level everybody understand what is a numerical data type, what is a categorical data type. Categorical data type means category will be there. Smoker means category, yes, no, like kind of things. When you see the number, it is a numerical data. I'm not going in that much of detail. The categorical data you may also represent by the numerical value. Like 0 means female, 1 means male. So you can also represent the categorical data in terms of numerical value. But that numerical value doesn't mean you can apply the mathematical operation over there. So just a part of discussion. Suppose you are presenting female by 0 or male by 1. So in that column, so suppose gender is a column. So here you cannot 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1 like that. So in this column, you cannot apply any mathematical operations. Or if you apply the mathematical operation, you will not get any valid interpretable output, because here 0 means category, here 1 means category, not 0 plus 1 is equal to 1. It is not like that. So I hope many of the candidate or participant know about that, but just for refreshment, I have covered it. Leave it going ahead. Yeah. Now the question is how to upload the data sets. You see, so the data set are here. You see the path. I have stored this folder desktop 2021 March medical expenses with all like that. In that data, in that path, there is a data set insurance. This is a data set. Okay. So I have to upload, I have to import my data into the R environment so that I can easily work with that data. So what I have to do first in the data science, in the machine learning, you have to deal a lot of data multiple times. So it is better to set this path. This is the path where my data set is stored as a root directory. So once you set in the R as a root directory, you can easily import this data by using its name only. Otherwise, the complete path you have to write every time, like C : user SP like that. So it make my code very simple. That's I'm going to demonstrate. First, let me start RStudio. So I'm not going to discuss much about the RStudio. RStudio is a setup. It's an environment like a Anaconda or like a Spider in the case of Python. Similarly, RStudio you can install. It is a very lightweighted software, maybe 200-300 MB. So never think about that you have a computer having a less power, less CPU, weaker CPU. So you can't implement, you can't run the machine learning algorithm. Not at all. You can imagine it is 200-300 MB only. Even MS Office required nowadays in GBs. But the RStudio is a very simple, free available open source software. You just install it and it will ask 200-300 MB only. So the moment I will click the RStudio, it will open an editor. It is more similar to the Spider. If anybody have experience in the Python with the Spider. So I will not cover much detail, much functionality of the R here because we don't have time. So you see this is a screen. Here I have to write the code and I have to run the code. So there is a one command, get wd. It will tell you about what is the root directory right now. So whether you can save your whole data set over here. Otherwise, whatever the path where your data set is stored, you copy over here. And you set that path as a root directory. So command it set wd and copy paste and make it \. One difference only. I think it is visible to everybody. It is very intuitive. There is no rocket science. You see, again check the get wd. Path has been changed.
Tiwari,
Now,
not visible.
Yeah. It is visible.
Not visible. Not visible.
It is screen is not visible.
Yes.
Sir, visible, sir.
It's visible.
sir.
It's visible to
Sir,
us.
RStudio visible है, sir.
Okay. Then okay. So please, sir. Because I am sharing the complete screen. It is not desktop.
Now visible. Now
Okay.
visible.
Okay. Thank you. So it is very intuitive. I have changed the root directory. Now whatever the things, the data set are stored in that path, I can directly access. Otherwise, I have to write the complete code. So now the time is to import. So how to import? Very simple. Because this is a CSV file. If you try to see, it is a CSV file. You see Microsoft CSV file, comma separated file. So there is a lot of functions, a lot of packages, lot of things are there. I'm not going into that detail. You just use a simple function read.csv. A function is given based on the data set you have. If you have a data set, maybe in the JSON file, maybe in the text file, maybe in the XML file, maybe in the HTML file. Based on the type of file, the type of data structure you have, the R have provided a lot of functionality, a lot of functions that you can use as per your requirement. Since today I'm dealing with the CSV file, there is a function read.csv, simple read.csv. And what is the file name? Read insurance.csv. File name is the insurance.csv that you have to pass as a parameter. Okay. Don't worry about that parameter. String as a factor true, don't worry about that. I'm copying these things only. So once you use this function, the function will catch the insurance.csv. It will import and store a new variable, and the new variable means the variable name like integer A, B, C, D, whatever the name you want, you can give. So I have given the name insurance as a data set name I have given. So it's up to you. It's a variable name. So look, I have just copied this one. Going to the R environment. Simple. Look, read.csv, only file name. What the file you want to import. Enter. Complete data set successfully uploaded. But how can you confirm it? You use that variable, whatever the variable name you have given, enter it. You see, complete data set is there. Complete data set. Age, gender, BMI, children's complete data set is there. Very simple, very intuitive, and very easy, damn easy. So this is the way how we can import the CSV file into the R environment. My first task is over. Now I will deal with the insurance only. So a lot of things are there. I'm not going to cover at all. I will directly jump to the linear regression. So one thing, I want to see the property of the data set. Whatever the data set I have uploaded, So there is a command str. Str, you have to pass your data set name at variable. It will give you some property, you see. That I will cover. You see, the age is integer. Gender is a character. Try to focus over here. Gender is character. BMI is a numerical. Integer, numerical, both are same. Integer means triple integer value. Numerical means floating value. So both are the numeric number. And the character, and again number. So if I feed this kind of data set to the algorithm will not work. Because which is the output variable? Expense is the output variable. Or input variable. Character means what? I have to convert that character into the category. I must say it is a category. Smoker is not a character. Otherwise, let me discuss what is the meaning of that. It's very, very strong learning you should learn. If I say this is the character, female is a character, data type, male is a character. So character means FEMAL is a character, MALE is a character. When I say it is a category, technically it is called factor. In machine learning, it is called factor. Once I convert that data set or data type into the category of factor, then female means not only combination of the ASCII value. It become a category. It is not a combination of some character only. It become a category. So everybody should understand, when I claim something as a character means simple character, female, male, no difference between them, both are same. But when I say it is not a character, it is a category, means it is something else, So if I feed that data directly to the algorithm in the future, it will not work. So I have to convert all the character into the factor. So that new parameter I have to pass. String as a factor true. So now you see the magic. I am very briefly discuss. It required a lot of time. We don't have much time. So just have a look so that in future, whenever you read somewhere in the literature, you can recall all those things. So you see the character now, female, male. Now you see it is a factor with two labels, female and male. female, automatically the system is encoded 1 and male is encoded by the 2. So don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. Don't worry about that. So label means there is a category. In the category, there is a 2 label, male and female. Similarly, in the region, earlier it was the character. Now it is a factor having a 4 label, east, west, north, south. So this is very important. Always when you apply any learning method to any data set, try to see whether you are requiring a character data types or a factor data type. So in the future, you may have a look. You may go in more details if you want. Okay, so I'm not going in much detail now. Coming with the linear regression directly. So what is the linear regression? So what the things I have covered till this moment? Data analytics, its sub branches, machine learning, its category, how to import the data into the R, what is a character and factor. These things I have covered. Now my data set is ready into the R environment. My data set insurance, my data set is ready. I need algorithms so that I can start learning or modeling. So what kind of algorithms today I'm going to discuss with the linear regression. So the linear regression is one of the most fundamental, well-known algorithms in the machine learning or statistics. So linear regression, many of the students, many of the faculty members and research scholars know it is nothing but a simple equation. It is a line equation. So what happens? Suppose if talk about y is equal to mx plus c. So in mathematically, if I talk about a simple line equation, we used to write mx plus c in mathematical, but in machine learning we used to call b0 plus b1 x1 like that. Both are same. It is b0, it is b1. So linear regression is nothing but simple aligned equation where we have some coefficient. So now try to understand what is the y, what is the x1. So y is the output variable. X1 is the input variable. If you have a one input variable, you may have a more input variable than b2, x2, b3, x3, dot. So it become a equation of the line. So every input variable, you try to understand, very important thing I'm going to discuss. Every input variable is associated with a parameter. So this parameter normally we call coefficient. And x1, x2, x3 are the input variable. What is the meaning of that? If the age, gender, BMI, children, smoker, region, and expenses. In this term, if I talk about how can I write equation for the given problem. So here expense will be the output, B0 a simple bias, plus B1 age, plus B2 sex, plus B3 smoker, dot. So in the given scenario, whatever the medical expenses scenario I have considered, it will be the linear regression equation, where expenses will the output variable. These are the coefficient that is associated with each and every input variable, and one extra coefficient, it is called bias or intercept. Bias. In term of y is equal to mx plus c, if you try to call, it is like that. So angle with the x-axis, it is called m. Intercept at the y-axis is called c. So you can move the line either by using m, either by using c, or together both. So try to understand how can you change the position of the line. The moment you will change the angle with the x-axis, you will get a different line. Or either you can change the intercept like that, or together also. So it is the equation of the line that is called the linear regression. I am not going to much detailed discussion, just very brief. So now the question is, what happened in the training? What happened in the training? During training, we try to estimate the value of all the coefficient. We try to estimate all the value of the coefficient. That is happened in the training only. So if one line, if I ask what happened in the training, training is some magical word. You have algorithm, data, just mix it, the model will become intelligent, it will take the decision. But what happened in the training? Actually, mathematically, what happened? I want to see through my eyes. So when you feed this algorithm, linear regression algorithm, you feed this complete data, after the training, it may happen this equation become expense is equal to 30 plus 21 age plus 25.2 sex plus 100 smoker, like that. So ultimate what happened? This is the equation. It is the algorithm. I feed the data. Then it happened training. Then after training, this is the model. This is the model. Means during training, a lot of coefficient, lot of parameters are there. Through that data set, my algorithm has estimated all the parameter that equation have. Once I have estimated the parameter, I have the model. Now you can use this model for the prediction. How? You feed the age is 21. 1 means female. Smoker, yes. Solve the equation. Whatever the number you will get, suppose 21,000. The answer will be, if the age is 21, female, smoker, yes, medical expenses will be 21,000. Similarly, the different value you will feed, the different output the algorithm will give. So this is the complete picture, how the algorithms you feed the data after training, how it become a model. Any question? You can just have a look for 30 seconds, and if any question have, please write on the chat box. I'm going to check it.
पार्टिसिपेंट किसी को कुछ डाउट है पूछ लीजिए। तिवारी जी कितने सिंप्लीफाइड वे में समझा रहे हैं। रियली मैं सिविल वाला हूं, लेकिन मुझे भी थोड़ा समझ में आ रहा है।
सर ये एप्लीकेशन चाहे सिविल हो, मैकेनिकल चाहे सर बायोलॉजी हो, सब जगह चलता है। तो
एक्चुअली सिविल का कंप्यूटर का ऐसा संबंध है कि सिविल वालों को कुछ समझ में नहीं आता। हम लोग पत्थर वाले हैं ना।
नहीं सर, आप उसको मशीन लर्निंग को कंप्यूटर बोलिए ही नहीं, मैं तो ये कह रहा हूँ सर। ये तो एप्लीकेशन है। कहीं भी
सिन्हा जी अभी भी ये डायरेक्टर हैं कि
अभी है सर, है अभी है।
और गवर्नर हाउस से दूसरा अभी ऑर्डर आने वाला था। अभी
क्लियर नहीं हुआ सर, अभी तक क्लियर नहीं हुआ कुछ भी।
हाँ, सिलेक्शन तो हो गया, गवर्नर हाउस से आदेश निकल रहा है।
अब जब आएगा, अभी तक क्लियर नहीं है सर। हम तो प्रे कर रहे हैं वही हो, रिपीट हो जाए सर।
हाँ, नहीं बढ़िया है, बढ़िया। ओके सर, कंटिन्यू प्लीज सर।
ओके, थैंक यू। Okay, so you see over here the one bias, it is called sometime intercept and bias, and all the other are coefficient. So y is the output variable, and other x is a vector over here, x1, x2, x3, it is an input variable. So it is some representation. What I have discussed till date, it is only the representation, how the linear regression look like. Because if I say the linear regression coming in the market and is just going to meet you, how could you know it is a linear regression? So as a student of the machine learning, you must know by seeing the algorithm, by seeing the model, you must know which kind of model it is. So that was the representation over the linear regression. Now the question is that if there is a one input variable, you need to draw a line equation. If you have a multiple input variable like x1, x2, x3, more variable, you need to draw a hyperplane or plane. Simple things, very simple. If you have a one input variable, you think about the line. If you have a multiple input variable, you will think about the plane. The complexity, other things I'm not going because we have only 30 minutes left. Now the linear regression may be a straight line or maybe a curve. So now you need to draw a curve, it become a polynomial linear regression. So there is a three terminology. Simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, or polynomial linear regression. So if there have only single input variable, it is called a simple linear regression. If you have a more than one input variable, it is called a multiple linear regression. If it is a curve, it is not a line. It is not a line. So it is called polynomial linear regression. Why it is happening? Ultimate, what is the linear regression? Linear regression means ultimate you need to work with the distribution of the data. So suppose it is an input variable, it is an output variable. If the relationship between this data is like that, then you can represent the complete data by a line. But suppose there is a two variable, input variable and output variable, the relationship is like that. The data distribution is like that. Now you cannot represent the complete data distribution through a line. You need to draw a curve. So it become a polynomial linear regression. So in another word, if I say what is the linear regression, means only curve fitting. We are curve fitting. It was in the syllabus of 12th, I remember. Typical mathematically curve fitting means linear regression. Both are same thing. In the machine learning, we have given a big name, linear regression. It is simple curve fitting. The way the data is distributed, your curve should follow that distribution. The distribution may be a linear or maybe a curve. Maybe like that. So I hope the things and terminology is well clear to everybody. What is a simple linear regression? What is a multiple linear regression? What is a polynomial linear regression? Which you should use? The question is, if you have a mind, it depends on the distribution of the data. So it is not like that. It is not your wish to choose the simple linear regression, multiple linear regression, or polynomial linear regression. Before picking any of the linear regression variant, you must see the type of distribution, type of relationship between input variable and output variable. If the relationship is linear, it's well, you either you can go with the simple or multiple. If the relationship is not linear, it is not non-linear, you have to go with the polynomial linear regression. That was the point. So that thing is clear, everybody here. Now comes to the training method. Because it's a machine learning, how the linear regression model I can train. So there are many methods, many training methods are there. One of the well famous method that the people use to train the linear regression equation is the least square method. Another are the gradient descent method. Another are the maximum likelihood method. So many methods are there. But today discussion, I will discuss about the least square method to train the linear regression model. So with the example, I will try to cover it. Please be with me. It's very simple, very intuitive. Suppose this is the data set is given to you. That is a data set is given to you. Okay. So you need to draw a line. Now the question is that the multiple line you can draw. Who is going to stop you? Crores of line you can draw. Crores of line means crores of linear regression model you may have. Because this, many ways you can draw a line. Now the question is that which is the best one? Question is that. As a programmer, as a concept, the linear regression training method allow you to draw a crores of line, to draw a multiple line. But the question is that which line is the best one? The answer is that which line is the best one? Which best represent the data set or data distribution, better to say data distribution. Out of multiple line, which line will best represent the data distribution will be the best line. Okay, this is a qualitative measure. How can I mathematically define? How can I define in terms of quantity? So try to understand. I'm going to discuss the least square method. What happened over here? Suppose this is the input variable or that is the output variable. Suppose output variable is the expenses. Okay, expenses means suppose 10, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000. Okay, and this is the data distribution. Okay, suppose this line 1 I have drawn randomly. I have drawn the line 1. It is a recursive process, so try to understand one step. I have to repeat the same for multiple times. So the one line I have drawn. So suppose the age is 20. Age is 20. What is the medical expenses? Suppose one variable I have only. Age is 20. Suppose what I'm doing, I'm going to consider age and expenses two variable only. Okay, one output variable, one input variable. So if age is 20, what the line is going to predict? Suppose the age is 20, medical expenses, this is the point between y and x. So real expenditure is 20,000. Suppose, so real expenditure is 20K. But what my model is going to predict? So I have to draw a straight line, and this model is going to predict, suppose it is 12,000. So my model is predicting, what is prediction made? My model is 12K. So it is not accurate. What is the error? Error is 8K. Similarly, each and every point, each and every data point, I have to repeat this process. I have to repeat this process. I have to repeat this process for each and every data points. So each and every data points will contribute some error. Error 1 plus error 2 plus error 3 plus error n. If there is n data points, total n error will be there. Error means whatever the real value and whatever the value predicted by my model. If both are same, suppose a data point is here, suppose. So real value is 50 and my model is also projecting over. If the data points are lies on the line, means it will predict 100% accurately. There is a no error. So in this case, error will be 0. So mathematically, try to understand total. If it is a line 1, the total error for line 1 was error 1, error 2, error 3, ... error n. Suppose it is what happened? Sorry. Suppose it is 100. Now what I have done, similarly I may have a different line. I have done a different line. So similarly, total error for a line 2 maybe 101. Similarly, I may have another line like that. So it was line 2, it is line 3. Similarly, line 3, I have to calculate the total error. Suppose it is 50. Similarly, ... 1. So now the question is that you have a multiple line, the maximum line, whatever the line you may draw, that is depend on your capacity. Out of those lines, which line give you minimum error? Minimum error will be the best line. It is called the least square method. It is called least square method. It is called the least square method. What happened in the real life? Because this error may be positive, some error may be negative. Okay, so ultimate what in the real mathematical function says, I have to square it. I have to square all the error then I have to submit. That is called least squared error. Whatever the error you have, I have to square it, I have to square it, I have to square it, then submit, so that negative become positive, positive will be always positive. Otherwise, what may happen, suppose the 0.1 error given by 20, another point will be given by -20, and suppose I'm going to submit, error is 0. So it may mislead the total training process. So I have to square all the errors given by any of the line and square it and sum it and try to make it least. That's why it is called least square method. Square the error and try to make it least means minimum. Which line will satisfy this equation will be the final line. Any doubt? Otherwise, I should go ahead. Okay. Mohan sir, I have given answer. Okay, thank you. So going ahead, I don't have much time, only 15 minutes. So a lot of things are there. Should I cover it or should I skip it? I am thinking. Okay, so this prerequisite, one prerequisite I will cover. I will not go into the much detail because I don't have much time. So prerequisite means what? So keep in the mind, any of the data science machine learning algorithm, whatever the linear regression, classification, decision tree, deep learning, any of the algorithm you try to implement in your research, in your work, be careful. None of the algorithm is perfect in the world. Algorithms works with some assumptions. That assumptions we normally call technically prerequisite. So if the data set is given to you, the environment is given to you, if it is satisfied the assumptions that the algorithm was developed based on, your algorithm will work for you. It will satisfy, it will make you happy. Otherwise, whatever the assumptions that the algorithm carry, your data set, your environment is not satisfied, it will not work for you at all. So many of the researchers struggle with applying the algorithms on the data set without seeing their prerequisite, without seeing their assumptions. So similarly, the linear algorithm or linear regression is the algorithm that has some assumptions. So let me discuss some assumptions very briefly. One assumption is the linearity. What it is say, the relationship between the input variable and output variable must be linear. If it is a linear regression, then see the errors like E1, E2, E3, E4. If you draw the curve, if you draw the histogram of these errors, because if you have 1,000 data points, you may have 1,000 number, E1, E2, E3. You draw the histogram. That histogram must be normally distributed. Normally distributed means, I think everybody can understand. If I have like 10, 20, 30, 40, dot, 100, 200, these are the errors. E1, E2, E3, E4, dot, En plus, like that, whatever you know. If you draw the histogram, it should be like that. So if the error made by your algorithm, your model, if you try to visualize it by using the histogram, it should be normally distributed. Otherwise, you should not use the algorithms. You should not do the linear regression in given data set. Linear regression is not good for the given problem if it is not satisfying this equation. Similarly, the Gaussian distribution for the output variable means it is expense. I should draw a histogram for these values for output variable. It should be a Gaussian curve. If your output variable is not showing the Gaussian curve, means this linear regression algorithm will not be efficient, will not work for the given data set. So this is the problem I have discussed. A lot of solutions are there. You can just either normalize it. You try to use a lot of transformation technique. If this data set is not showing the Gaussian curve, you apply a lot of transformation technique, log transformation, normalization, standardization, and try to make it that way. So the problems are there, solutions are also there. So that things you have to learn. Like that. I have drawn the histogram. You look expenses. So let me copy that code for you and let's see the output, because expenses is the output variable, whether it is showing the Gaussian curve or not. You see, it is violating the assumptions. It is not a Gaussian curve. So ideally, if the data set is this one, I should not apply the linear regression. Either I should search for the another machine learning algorithms, or I should first transform this data and then see whether it is a Gaussian curve or not. If it comes in the Gaussian curve format, then linear regression you can apply. Like that. Similarly, one assumption is that whatever the input variables are there, it just should not be depend to each other. Means age should not be depend on the gender, gender should not be depend on the BMI, BMI should not be depend on the children, children should not depend on the age, age should not depend on the region, like that. Suppose example I am just putting for your reference, for your thought processing. Suppose the data set is given the age, weight, height. Now this data set is given to you. You want to something. You want to apply the linear regression. Linear regression says that these input variables should not depend on each other. But now you can say, sir, it is impossible. The moment age increase, the weight will also increase. If height increase, somehow weight also increase. So this is the problem I want to explain. It is not damn easy to take the data and feed into the algorithms. You have to take care of all these assumptions. So you have to make such input variable independent. How? Again, you have to learn on many things. A lot of solutions are there. But the question is that how could I know? Simple correlation analysis. You know, the age, BMI, children, expenses. I have applied the correlation matrix. Correlation matrix, you know. Correlation analysis means it will range -1 to +1. If the value is close to the 1, either negative, either positive, means highly correlated. If the value is 0, means there is no correlation. Because in the many applications, the input variable are that you don't have domain knowledge. Here the age, weight, and height, you have a domain knowledge, you can understand they are correlated. But if I decode all these value, if I decode and give the data set x1 and x2 and x3, x1 is the age, x2 is the weight, and x3 is the height, how could you know it? So ultimately you require some technique. So one of the best technique is that correlation analysis. So either these matrix, it is visible over here, these number ideally should be 0. So age versus BMI 0.1. 0.1 means is close to 0, means age and BMI is not much correlated. Age and children, it is saying there is no correlated, it is close to the 0. So like that you can see. So going ahead, homoscedasticity is the big topic. I'm going to skip. I'm not going to cover it because of that. We don't have time. The one implementation I will show, then I will stop my lecture. So now the question is that how to train the model? How can I train the linear regression using this data set into the R environment? So you see the equation I have written. So the expense is the output variable, and the rest, age, gender, BMI, children, smoker, region are the input variable, or sometimes it is called dependent variable, and input variable are the independent variable. Now the many other researchers have the questions, why should I consider all the input variable in the equations? Somebody may say, sir, I want include only age. Somebody will say, no, sir, I want to include age and gender. Somebody will say, no, plus BMI also, like that. So it is up to you. Please make it clear, there is not any guideline that can say you should consider which parameter, either 2, either 3, either 4, which number of parameter. Answer is that every possible linear equation you have to draw, like I have drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So many permutation combination may be there. maybe 10, 20 linear equations you may draw. Every linear regression you have to train your data set, you have to test it, you have to validate it, and which linear equation will give you the best performance you should consider. I am again repeating, there is no straight guideline that can help you to choose the exact number of parameters. The solution is that whatever the possible combination of the equations that you need to draw, like by using 1, by using 2, by using 3, by using every possible parameters, and every independent equation will become a model, because every independent equation you have to train, you have to apply the complete process. And once you suppose there's a 20 equations, then you may have a 20 model. Out of 20 models, there are some parameters you have to check which model have the greater accuracy, which is the best model for you. So the model will perform the better, you should choose one. I think this is all. I think that you can understand it. So let me do it. What I'm doing over here, you try to understand the equation. In the like a Python, like a MATLAB, in the R, there is already a implemented linear regression. The function name is LM. LM means linear model. Already a function is there. I'm going to directly use for your purpose, where I have to write the output parameter. Output parameter is the output variable, the expenses. Tilde means it is a syntactical part. You can consider it as equal. After tilde, whatever you are writing, by using the plus, it becomes the input parameter. So this equation, age, children, BMI, gender, smoker, region, everything I have included. Plus which data set you are using. This is the parameter, the feature name I have included. Which data set? Data is equal to the insurance. And it will take all these data feature and apply the least square method by default, and it will develop a model, and model name I am giving LR_model. It is a variable name. It's up to your choice. You can give any name, A, B, C, D, whatever you want. So let me copy that things, just Control C, go to the R environment, enter. Within a second, everything is over. Model is trained, training process is over. It has drawn the crores of lines, multiple lines, calculated the square of the error, sum it, and it has chosen the line that gives you the highest performance or minimum error, sum of minimum error. It already done within a second. Now the question is, sir, I want to see that model. Yes, you can see that model. You just use that variable. You just print it. This is a model. Model is what? Expense is the output. These are the input variable. And you try to see the intercept. So you see age, the coefficient, the intercept means B0. I'm talking about. You try to recall what I'm doing. The last part of the discussion is that it is the expenses. It is the B0, B1 age plus B2 sex plus B3 smoker, ... So what is the B0? Now you can see over here. B0 is intercept means minus 11941. So it is minus 11941 plus. What is the meaning of negative and positive number? Don't go in that way. It don't have any meaning. Age, coefficient of age is 256. So here it is 256 age plus children 475, like that. So here you can see the results, how you can interpret it. Now one more level of the detail I can call it by using the summary command. So here, yeah, okay, let me read. What is the meaning of coefficients? Try to understand. The coefficient of the age term in our model is saying that for every 1 year increase in the age of a person, the required expenses goes up by $256 or rupees. What is the meaning of that? You should understand. What is the meaning of 256? If a coefficient is associated with any input value, what is the meaning that? if all the value are same, other value are same, but if there's a 2%, the age difference is only 1 year. So the person which is bigger by 1 year, my model suggests the medical expenses for that elder person that is bigger by 1 year will be $256 more than that previous one. So means if the age hike is by 1 year, the medical expenses may hike $256 or 256 rupees. So machine learning is more about the interpretation. Whatever the model is giving, how to interpret it. So that things you can do. Similarly, you can call the summary command. Yes, last things I am going to discuss, then I will stop my lecture. So this is the summary command. In the summary command, it try to understand residual standard error. So more or less you can connect it with the total error given by your model. Total error given by your model. So you try to recall during the least square method discussion, I have discussed the total error. Which model gives you the least total error with the best model. So whatever the model selected by the system, the total error is 6062. What is the degree of freedom? We will cover some time else. Similarly, another parameter is a R square or adjusted R square. It is a kind of accuracy. It is a kind of how model is efficient. So it range R square. I don't have time to cover. R square is a parameter that range from 0 to 1. Bigger value of R square is more favorable. Ideal value of R square is 1 is the best. If you have 1, 2, 3 dot n model, which model will have the highest R square will be the better model. You can consider at this time of movement, otherwise it is not true. But at this time of movement, any of the model, whatever the multiple model you have trained, which model having the highest R square will be the better model. So R square given by your things is over here. Okay, so there are many things to cover. But with the time limit, I cannot touch it upon. I am directly jump into the last one. So the summary says about that whatever the things I have learned, we have learned today is about what is the data analytics, what are the various branches, prescriptive, descriptive, predictive. Then we have seen the categorization of the machine learning algorithm like reinforcement learning, supervised learning, unsupervised learning. We have also seen the difference between classification and regression. Then we have picked up how to import the data into the R environment by using read.csv command. There was also discussion over the factor and a character, why we need to convert the character into the factor during the training method. Most important part we have learned, the prerequisite is the most important thing, whether it's a linear regression or whether any kind of machine learning algorithm. Be careful before selecting any algorithm, because based on the data set, prerequisite may change. Model optimization I couldn't cover. Model optimization means you have a model, linear regression model you have selected, data set you have finalized with this one. What are the various methods to improve the performance of the model with the same model with the same data set? So that is a model optimization. R square adjusts. R square is the most important part, and many of the time it's play a very crucial role to decide the model which is the best model. But always be careful. Higher side of the R square will always not be good for you. So because it is the introduction part, introductory session of the linear regression, so I cannot cover, I don't have covered 2 scenarios where we should avoid the R square. There's many scenarios where the laser value of the R square is better one. Plus, I couldn't cover the difference between R square and adjusted R square. I couldn't cover the mathematical formula between R square and adjusted R square. P-value is something, again, I couldn't cover with the limitation of the time. I hope please write it down. And P-value is very important part in the machine learning, not only with the related to the linear regression. P-value is something statistical term that may be associated with any kind of classification algorithms. So that was the thing from my side. I hope the things was clear with the limited time. And now if we have a time, we can have some question answer session, please. The participant, if have a right, then unmute and may ask the question.
Thank you very much, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
The talk was very nice.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for invitation.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for spending your valuable time and sharing
Sir,
your
if you
insights
are
on
having
data
any
analytics.
query, you can ask. DP sir, if you are having any query, you can ask.
Yeah, exactly, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
If it's possible, sir, please throw some light on threshold value.
Threshold value in which context? I'm not getting.
Specific to the model, specific to learning, sir.
We have to select some context, means linear regression, there is a no threshold value. KNN, there is a no threshold value. So threshold value in which context you are asking, really I'm not getting.
Exactly, it
In
was
particular
related
algorithm,
to training terminology.
please repeat
Yeah,
the
generally,
question.
miss, the question was related to selecting the question was related to selecting the threshold value at the time of training or some model.
Let me recall where I have to select the threshold value, because in many models there is a no threshold value. So let me recall the threshold value means what. If you have
Maybe
any
during optimization, maybe there might be some threshold value for selecting.
suppose in deep learning point of view, the gradient descent method is there, suppose, or gradient descent method also you can apply in the linear regression. Here we need to choose the threshold value. So the threshold value, what happened over here, let me recall. Okay, with the example, let me explain.
So Tiwari ji, really this presentation was very wonderful, and I am very grateful on behalf of Technical University and Vilayat Technology Durg for that you have looked out very busy schedule time for this particular webinar, and I hope that all the participants will get benefited from the
Yes, sir.
presentation of this Vivek Tiwari ji, and I will appreciate that you have highlighted many important aspects of this supervised learning in very simplified manner. Actually, faculty are the participants, so I request to all the participants that you should get the lesson that how to teach from Vivek Tiwari ji. Vivek Tiwari ji
Not at all, sir. Not
has
at all.
narrated each and every points in very simplified manner, that everyone, even though weaker students may also get the benefit that how to teach in the class. So thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So let me explain one thing.
Yes.
Mr. Sir have asked something. Let me explain one thing. So suppose just I recall the Lazo model is a type of linear regression. Suppose the loss function is given over here. That is the least square value plus alpha, b1 square, b2 square, b3 square. So b1, b2, b3 are the coefficient associated with the input value. So what happened? You need to decide the value of alpha. It is a kind of threshold value. It is a kind of threshold value. So what happened? You suppose you're starting with the 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, different value you may have up to infinity, or up to infinity. So every possible value, you have to train the model and you have to calculate the cross validation. So maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, suppose these are the value of cross validation. So normally the straight line answer is that you have to choose the threshold value in such a way that it will give the highest value of the cross validation. Got it? But it is not perfectly true.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Sometime it happened when you choose the cross validation with the highest value, it may happen because of the alpha. Because of the alpha have a tendency to reduce the value of the coefficient, all the coefficient. If you increase the bigger value of the alpha, these are the totally inverse characteristics. If you choose the big value of the alpha, it will reduce the B1, B2, and B3 and Bn. What it is it? It is the coefficient of the input variable. It is the coefficient of the input variable. So what happened? If you keep on increasing the threshold value alpha, after some time, some of the coefficient B1 or B2 become the 0. It start going to the to the 0. So 0 means what? Suppose x1 is the age, so means age is 0. Plus x2, suppose again 0, that is called the gender. You try to recall the equation I was explaining over here. So both the things. You keep the balance between, you don't want the input coefficient 0. You must have the enough balanced value of the 0 or the coefficient, also maintaining the highest value of the cross validation. So ultimate answer is that there is no single way to define the threshold value. It is the iterative method, all the combinations, the things you have to apply, and based on the results you have to decide whether which threshold value you have to stop.
Okay.
So that Lazo things I have recalled and explained. It might be you are not satisfied. In which context you are asking, I couldn't get it, I think so. But hope I have tried.
Sir, good morning,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
One
Thank you.
question from my side.
Yeah, please.
Sir, this LM function you have used in R to
Yeah.
training, getting the best model. So
Yeah.
what is in the background? Actually, I am not able to understand how to get those coefficients either from some optimization technique, iterative manner, or some analytical solution we
Yeah.
get from the LM.
Got it. I
Thanks,
got
sir.
the question. Answer is the least square method. Sir, if you try to recall, in the LM method, what is written? In the LM method, it will try to draw multiple lines. And every lines, it will calculate the sum of square error. And which line will give you the least sum of square error, it will consider as a final model. And whatever the coefficient B0, B1 you are getting, it is the against the baseline it has selected.
So basically, it plots means thousands and thousands of lines, and then it calculates the minimum error. Means error for all and get the minimum model.
Yes, actually, if you mathematically, if you lost, there is a derivations. The multiple derivations are there.
Okay, so this will be something optimal means minimal solution, minimization problem.
Yes. That's why it is called the least square method. That's why it is called least square error method.
Analytical solution it is giving.
Yes, it is analytical method. If you don't want the least square method to apply, you can change the training method. You can select the gradient descent method. So a lot of options are there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
By default, it is a least square method. Otherwise, you can change it in the R, Python, and MATLAB everywhere. You can change the training method.
No, I guess analytical solution will be the best one, better than the optimization.
That again, it is a long discussion. It's a long debate. A lot of persons used to debate on that. It is optimal solution is good or an analytical solution is good. It's again a part of discussion.
Okay, thanks.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, I have also a question. In dimensionality reduction, how we can say that which dimensions is best suited for our model? in terms of if we choose the TF, IDF or embeddings as a, the deep learning approaches for embeddings nowadays. So how we can think which dimensions are best or suited for our model as a dimensionality reduction
Okay.
process?
Okay, very good questions. To all the participants, please listen. I will not go in much detail. There are many regularization techniques. I think everybody know or everybody must know about the regularization, because machine learning method or algorithms also suffer the curse of dimensionality. Means in many cases, you may have a 500, 1000 features. 100 features are there. Like the Roy sir is asking, if you have a multiple features, so many features, 100 features, 200 features, 300 features, how could you know which subset of the feature is good for you? So without taking much time, the answer is that you should understand, you should learn about the regularization. Regularization means giving the penalty. So suppose regularization, what does? Lazo is a kind of regularization. RIZ is a kind of regularization. Adjusted R square is a kind of regularization. In the regularization method are various kind of regularization method. Based on your application, you choose. Now it's the responsibility of the regularization method. It will give the penalty to the feature that is least contributing. Suppose you have a 10 feature, out of 10 feature, 2 features are not important. But as a human, we cannot know which feature is important, contributing or not contributing. You cannot decide it. So you need to take some analytical method, adjusted R square, Lazo, RIZ, all are the regularization method, L1 regularization, L2 regularizations. So once you apply the regularization method, regularization method itself help you to find out which particular feature or set of feature is not or are not contributing. You can remove from the consideration. So answer is that please study about the regularization, L1 regularization, L2 regularization, and similar kind of regularization. Got it?
Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, sir, for spending your valuable time and sharing your insights over data analytics and linear regression. I hope the audience have been benefited a lot. Once again, thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
you for
sir.
inviting me. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, sir.
सर नमस्कार
नमस्कार नमस्कार
Sir,
कारी सर
thank you.
नमस्कार
कैसे हैं
थैंक यू
कैसे हैं
Sir,
सर
as Roy बोल रहा हूँ.
बढ़िया बढ़िया सर आप कैसे
Sir,
हैं
as
आप
Roy
कैसे हैं
बोल
सर
मैं भी बढ़िया हूँ सर काफी अच्छा रहा प्रेजेंटेशन सर
सर बढ़िया सब आप लोगों का ही है सर और क्या डिस्कशन है सब लोग टीचर हैं अपन लोग आपस में डिस्कस करते हैं आपस में नॉलेज शेयर करते हैं और धीमे धीमे लर्न करते हैं
बिल्कुल और बाकी सब बढ़िया ना सर
बढ़िया सर बढ़िया बढ़िया
ओके सर ओके थैंक यू सर
थैंक यू सर एवरीबडी थैंक यू करे सर थैंक यू
So thank you, Tiwari ji, for nice presentation. Now we'll start. I think this session 5 time is
Yes, sir.
reaching. So,
Well, sir.
so if a speaker is already arrived, then you may start the biodata of the speaker.
Yes, sir. Monica Verma, ma'am, are you online? Monica Verma, ma'am.
जी सर
Please continue the session.
Actually, the best quality of the webinar that we have to maintain this program schedule in the strict manner. Okay, always there should be some certain point of commencement, and there should be the certain point of the end of the session. And note down each and every, you can say, the areas which is being covered by each speaker, and try to brief after the closing of that particular session. That's what sir has pointed out. It will be more beautification because of some network issue. Some people may left and then again joining. So for the benefit of the participants, always remember that even in the concluding remark, it is very much important that you have to summarize all the 3 sessions during the end of the particular day. Okay. So please start this session 5.
Okay, sir. So with warm greetings, I, Monica Verma, Assistant Professor in CSA Department. On behalf of CSA Department of BIT Durg, I extend my warmest welcome to one and all present here. It is indeed a privilege to have knowledgeable experts among us. I feel much pleasure to invite Dr. Abhishek Sarma sir, our